There were 3 young brothers in Messina, merchants who became very wealthy after the death of their father, who hailed from San Gimignano. They had a sister named Lisabetta, a beautiful and courteous young woman whom they kept unmarried for some reason. In their warehouse, the brothers employed a young man from Pisa named Lorenzo, who managed and took care of all their business affairs. Lorenzo was very handsome and elegant, and as Lisabetta saw him frequently, she developed an extraordinary liking for the young man. Recognizing Lisabetta's inclination, Lorenzo abandoned his other love interests and focused his hopes on her. Their love for each other grew, and before long, they dared to fulfill their intense desires. They continued their relationship in secret, enjoying many joyful and pleasurable moments. However, they were unable to keep their actions hidden, as one night, while Lisabetta secretly went to the place where Lorenzo was sleeping, the eldest brother discovered the encounter without Lisabetta's knowledge. Although the discovery was painful for him, the brother was a prudent young man. Moved by an honest purpose and after much contemplation, he chose to remain silent until the following morning. Later, at daybreak, he revealed to his brothers what had transpired between Lisabetta and Lorenzo. After a long discussion, the brothers decided that, to protect their sister from any infamy, they would maintain their silence, pretending they had seen or known nothing until the moment when they could wash away this dishonor without causing harm or disgrace. With their plan in place, they continued to joke and laugh with Lorenzo as usual, and they left the city under the pretext of taking a leisure trip, taking the young man with them. Upon reaching a remote and desolate place, taking advantage of Lorenzo's innocence and unsuspecting nature, they killed him and buried him in a way that no one could find his remains. Upon returning to Messina, they spread the news that they had sent him somewhere, a story that people readily believed because the brothers often sent him on business trips. But Lorenzo did not return. Lisabetta, burdened by his prolonged absence, frequently and anxiously inquired about him. One day, as Lisabetta persistently asked for Lorenzo, one of her brothers replied, "What does this mean? What does Lorenzo have to do with you that you ask about him so often? If you ask again, we will give you the answer you deserve." Faced with this response, the young woman, melancholic and sad, filled with fear without knowing why, stopped asking. Many nights, she mournfully called out for him, pleading for his return. Other times, she wept and shed tears due to his prolonged absence. Lamenting and finding no solace, she awaited her lover's return. On night, after shedding many tears over Lorenzo's absence, Lisabetta succumbed to sleep. In her dream, the young man appeared to her, pale and disheveled, with torn and rotting clothes, saying, "Oh, Lisabetta, do you not tire of calling me? Your sadness accuses me harshly with your tears. On the last day you saw me, your brothers killed me. Therefore, I cannot return." Describing the place where they had buried him, the ghost asked Lisabetta not to call or wait for him anymore, fading away afterward. The young woman woke up, believing in the vision she had witnessed, and wept bitterly. Then, rising in the morning and not daring to say anything to her brothers, she decided to go to the place the specter had indicated to verify if what had been revealed to her in the dream was true. Obtaining permission from her brothers to venture a little beyond the outskirts of the city for a stroll, she set off as quickly as possible, accompanied by a maid who had previously served her and shared in her secrets. Upon arriving, she cleared away the fallen leaves and began digging where the soil seemed softest. It didn't take much digging to uncover her wretched lover's body, which showed no signs of damage or decomposition. This confirmed her belief that her vision was indeed true. Despite her overwhelming grief, she knew that this was not the place for lamentation. If possible, she would have taken the entire body with her to give it a more dignified burial. However, she realized that this was not feasible. Without anyone watching, she skillfully used a knife to separate the head from the torso, wrapping it in a cloth. She covered the rest of the body with earth, and then placed the severed head in the maid's lap. Having done so, she walked away from the site and returned home. There, locked in her chamber, she clutched the head tightly and wept over it, bitterly and extensively, until she washed it completely with her tears. She kissed it 1,000 times all over. Then, she took a large and beautiful pot, the kind used for planting basil or marjoram, and placed Lorenzo's head inside, wrapped in rich fabric. She covered it with soil and planted some Salerno basil plants, watering them only with rose or orange blossom water, or with her own tears. She made it her constant duty to be near the pot, tending to it with utmost care, as if Lorenzo himself were hidden within. After spending a long time watching over it, she would stand up and weep for an extended period until the plant was completely soaked. And the basil, nurtured by her continuous vigilance and the fertile soil enriched by the decaying head, became a beautiful and highly fragrant plant. Continuing this routine, the young woman was often observed by the neighbors. As they noticed her fading beauty and her eyes seeming to flee from her face, they shared their observations with one another, saying, "We have noticed that she acts this way every day." Upon hearing this, the brothers realized what was happening. They had already reprimanded Lisabetta for her unusual behavior, but to no avail. So, in secret, they took the pot away. Unable to find the pot, Lisabetta often and persistently pleaded for its return. Unsatisfied with their refusal, she continued to shed tears and fell ill. Throughout her sickness, her only request was for them to bring back the pot. The brothers were astonished by her persistent plea, and decided to see what was inside. After removing the soil, they found the cloth and beneath it, the head. Though decomposed, the curly hair confirmed that it belonged to Lorenzo. Surprised and fearing discovery of their deed, the brothers buried it and, settling their affairs, left Messina without uttering a word, cautiously fleeing to Naples. Never ceasing to cry, and always begging for the pot's return, Lisabetta died in tears. Thus ended her unfortunate love affair. But after some time, the incident became widely known. Someone composed the song that is still sung today.